yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah. C'est toi qui es. And I want to welcome everybody else in Talk to Connect. Sorry, I know we are late. We're quite late, but the internet was having a problem. Sorry for that. Let me welcome you all again to Talk to Connect. As usual, we invite amazing people who join us to share their journey, to share their story, to empower, to inspire us, to allow us to think a little bit about our own stories and find our own way or our own purpose. The reason why I normally do this is, for one, I was inspired by somebody's story, and it made me rethink about my life, and that story allowed me to take a journey of self-discovery, and here I am today talking to other people. So sharing your stories to inspire you wherever you are, whatever situation you are in life, to know that you're not alone. There are people who have gone through the same or different ways of different kind of situations, but they've made it. And it's empowering you to rethink and maybe find a way to start your own journey in a different way. So Lara, thank you so much for coming here today. I know you're busy, and you taking time to be here means a lot. I want to welcome you to Talk to Connect, and I will welcome you to introduce yourself and let us know the journey of Lara, from where it started, the story that made you be the lady who you are today.
Okay, so first of all, good morning here from the UK, and thank you so much, Fatima, for having me here today. Honestly, it's an honor and it's a pleasure to be here. And I just want to take a moment to just acknowledge you and to appreciate you for everything that you are doing, Fatima, for creating this space and allowing me to share my story here today, and also allowing other people to share their story as well, because I understand and I see and I hear that what you're trying to do is to inspire others so that they can find their life purpose. So honestly, show Fatima some love in the comments right now for all that she's doing, and, you know, for giving us this space to share our stories. So well, now when people see me, like, they feel like maybe, you know, they say to me like, Lara, you know, you're so confident, or you're so happy, you're always smiling, and, you know, you have this calm confidence about you, and your radiance, a lot of the time, it lights up the room. But it hasn't always been this way. So a few years ago, I was literally a sad mess. I felt lost, I felt unfulfilled, I felt helpless, and I felt stuck. So I was in an unhappy and toxic relationship. I felt powerless, and I didn't even know what my purpose was. So I don't know if there's any of you that's listening that's ever felt like that, where you've had a moment where, you know, you've felt lost, or you felt stuck, or you felt helpless, basically. And I realized that I had given my power away. And even though I realized that, I felt quite scared to break free, because obviously at the end of the day, I wasn't happy, but it was comfortable. It was what I knew, was what I'd known for quite a lot of years, basically. But when the pain of staying became so much more unbearable than the pain or the fear of the unknown, I decided that it was time to basically take back my power. And it was hard. It was hard because it's always daunting, you know, to take that step outside of your comfort zone, to take, you know, that step into the unknown. And that fear, sometimes it paralyzes people. Well, it paralyzed me. And a lot of the women I work with, I know that they feel in the same situation as well. So it was hard, but I learned that I had to take control of my life. I had to take control of my own life. I was in charge of my life, and I had to take ownership of that. And I learned that I had to love me, that I had to love myself first, and that love had to come from within and not from the outside. And the thing is, once I made that decision, I felt this this sense of freedom, you know, this sense of just feeling free, because it felt like for a long time I'd been carrying this load on my shoulder. And the thing is, I didn't even realize I'd been carrying that load on my shoulder, you know. But once I'd made that decision, that feeling of freedom, that's what it felt for me. It felt like, you know, I was able to breathe, and it felt like, you know, I just let go. So I started working on myself, self-development, doing the inner work. I worked on my mindset for sure. I read lots of books. I basically implemented lots of different routines, incorporated lots of, daily habits that I would do every day, and to be consistent with that. And then by implementing these daily techniques and implementing these new habits that were serving me, I was able to start seeing on the outside what I truly wanted to feel like on the inside. And yeah, so I followed this process, and here I am now today, back in my own power, loving myself. And now I help other women who are feeling stuck and unfulfilled in their life, and basically women who are doubting their worth. And I help them basically go from self-doubt to self-worth, so that they are able to step into their true power and create the life that they want. Because I strongly believe that we all have that power within ourselves to create the life that we want, to be, to do, to have, to give, whatever it is that we want to give, whatever we want to give the world and share with the world. And I feel like sometimes, we just need that help sometimes to help us to reveal that power within ourselves. And coaching really lights me up. It lights up my soul. And I love it when I see other women come to me and, at first they're feeling very doubtful. They've got low self-worth. They feel like they haven't got the courage to do whatever it is that they want to do. And then through coaching, I'm able to help them to realize that, yes, they do have that power within them, and that power has always been there. It's there, and it's just there for it to be revealed. And yeah, so that lights me up. And that's my journey in terms of how I now am a coach, and I help other women to create the life that they want.
Thank you so much, Lara, and that's quite a journey, and thank you for sharing it with us. And interesting, I've been having this conversation with a lot of ladies from my country. I'm from Kenya, so these ladies there's a lady I just interviewed the other week about domestic abuse, and because it's a thing that is happening in my country so much, and I think there's so many women who are still struggling to find their way out of what you just described right now. So how you talked about finding yourself and finding the strength to break the chains. And I think that is, for me, when people say, oh, I believe you're this, you for you to be in that abuse, you're stronger because you can stand it, but you're more stronger when you break that chain and find your own way. But what are some of the things, like, let's say you would say, that helped you have the courage to say, no, I'm done? Because I know everybody has a different journey, and everybody maybe has a different person who's they're dealing with, but there are some things that you would say, okay, this was my breaking point, Lara. I'm not going to sit here anymore, and I'm not going to wait to be abused anymore. I'm done. So I'm going to take myself out of this.
I would say that my journey was kind of like twofold. So I kind of like my journey in self-development actually started in 2012 or around about that time. Because I remember waking up on my 34th birthday, and I joked about it with my friends at the time, like, I feel like I'm having a quarter life crisis. I wouldn't say it was a half, midlife crisis, but I woke up on my 34th birthday, and I just looked around me, and I was like, this just strong sense of, is this what life is about? So like I said, at that time, I was in this unhappy marriage. I had two beautiful kids, and obviously they made me happy, but deep down inside, I felt empty inside. And it was just this struggle that this can't be what life is all about, right? So it kind of like started with just that deep sense of unhappiness, that deep sense of unfulfillment, and just questioning that, what is this that I'm in? How did I get here? Because obviously I not in my wildest dreams do I think that, I had plans, I had all these things, and here I was. So I would say that one of the things is starting to ask yourself questions, because the quality of the questions that we ask will be the quality of the answers or the things that we find around us. And as they always say that, once the student is ready, the teacher will appear, the master will appear. And that can be in the form of books, it can be in the form of mentors, it can be in the form of getting a coach, it can be in the form of opportunities and stuff. So I remember, like, obviously I went on with my day and things like that. And it just so happened, like, I went to my mum's house, and in one of the old bedrooms, which my brother had used, there was a book that was called 21 Habits. I think it was called 21, what was the book called again? Something around 21 days, Millionaire Habits in 21 Days by Scott Anderson. That was the book. So yeah, so it was in like a bookshelf, and I think funny enough, it had been a gift for him, and he hadn't read it. He just left it there because he no longer lived with my mum either, but he left it there. And I've been in that room for quite a lot of times, and I hadn't noticed that book, but for whatever reason I noticed that book on that day, and I picked it up and I thought, this is quite interesting. And I read that book, and I would say that that book changed my life, because not so much the book itself, but it was the fact that it seemed like it was a portal for me to start attracting all the other things that I then needed. So again, it was because I was asking these questions from the book that I just finished reading. So that's when I was introduced to the law of attraction. A lot of people knew about the law of attraction in 2012. I didn't. So all of a sudden, I was then learning all these other things. I was reading books, and I was beginning to feel myself expand. So when you're basically, when you are not allowing yourself to grow, it's almost like you're dying, right? Because you're not moving forward. And if you're not moving forward, people will think like you're actually standing still. To a great extent, you're not even standing still. You're actually moving backwards. And if you're not growing, you're dying, right? So there was just this burst of, I can be so much more, so, and deep down, I think we all know that we can be so much more, but it's just making that decision, or taking that first step for us to say, okay, it's time to, be brave enough, to have that courage to move forward. So that's, for me, I would say that was when my first phase of, self-development and starting to work on myself and to grow myself.
That is so powerful. And I think what you said is very important. If you're not growing, you're dead. And I can really relate to that, because you don't see yourself becoming anything different. You're the same person doing the same thing every single day. And it kind of makes you feel like you're not worth it, or you're not worth a lot of things in life. I can relate to that in a different way, not being in an abusive relationship, but just being a person who doesn't have a purpose in life. You're just working, doing the same thing every single day. And the question that, when you say about asking yourself a question, is asking yourself, is this really what I'm meant to be? Is this what life is supposed to be for me? And that made a very different change in my life, because I wanted to know, why am I just there, confused with life, just making the same thing and losing every time I was doing things. And asking questions is a very powerful thing. And thank you for sharing that with us, Lara. So Lara, I know we all go through a lot of things, and people go a lot of trauma. And one big part of coming out of trauma and growing is healing. And by healing, you have to go through a lot of things that help you to start finding yourself. I think when you start healing is a journey of self-discovery. You start understanding yourself in a better way, in a deeper way, that you start finding your strength and your weaknesses and all of this. So what would you say are some of the things that helped you go through that process of healing to find your own way? Because I think a lot of people want to change and they want to come out of this thing, but they don't allow themselves to heal. So what we do is we mask the pain, we mask everything that has happened, and like, it didn't happen to me, but the reality is this is happening, it happened. And for you to move forward, you've got to heal so that you can become that person that you want. So what are the things you would say that on your journey would help you, that helped you to heal and helped you grow?
Thank you. Great question, Fatima. I would say first and foremost for me, it was learning to, it's a lot of it is forgiveness, but first of all, it was actually learning to forgive myself, So learning to forgive myself that I, to a great extent, allowed myself to be in this situation, because to a great extent, I realized that I had that choice, and it was me that gave my power away, right? So it was me that to a great extent didn't use my voice maybe when I could have used my voice, things like that. So I had to take responsibility of that, right? And then I also had to give myself permission and allow myself to forgive myself that it was okay. So a lot of the healing was to do with myself, and to do with loving myself, because like I said, like that love, I was looking for it from the outside, wanting somebody else to love me, not truly loving myself fully first, right? So I had to work on that and start to love myself, and tell myself that I'm worthy, tell myself I approve of myself. So Louise Hayes was a lot of her books and a lot of her audios. I read a lot of that. And so looking at myself in the mirror, just learning to love what I saw in the mirror, like truly, and that takes time, and that actually takes courage, because initially, like, I didn't really believe what I was telling myself. Like, you are beautiful, you're worthy, you are this, you are that. I was like, yeah, so, but the main thing I want to point out is the first thing is making that decision. So once you make that decision, because I made that decision that I wanted change and I needed change, so I was willing to then do the work, even if at the beginning I wasn't seeing or believing, what was, what I could still see on the outside. Because obviously it takes a while for you to get to the roots and dig it all out, right, and start to see the new plant that's growing. So it was just believing in that process, and then starting to believe in myself, and like I said, allowing myself to forgive myself for all the mistakes I've made, and where it led me to. And then also, beginning to understand that I had control of my life. When I discovered that actually I'm a co-creator of my life, that was so powerful, because up until then it was as if I was just going through life, through the motions, through this routine. But in doing that, it meant that I felt like I was in this victim mentality, that as they say, that life was happening to me as opposed to life was happening for me. So when I started thinking in that way, that life is happening for me, so it was different, because then I was seeing all these challenges as maybe obstacles that I could jump over, and as I jumped over them I would learn something, right? So that was a total game changer as well. So learning that I had control over all of this, and then also back to the forgiveness, but learning to forgive other people as well in my life. So anyone that I felt like had done me wrong in each of those situations, taking ownership of what maybe I had contributed to that, not that what and what's the word I'm looking for, not that when people do you wrong that it's okay, but at the end of the day, it's about letting go for myself and trying to find that peace within myself, and trying to find that love within myself. So forgiveness was a lot of it. So lots of different healing techniques like Ho'oponopono, and just a lot of meditation, and just a lot of self-reflection as well. So lots of journaling, and just trying to, like you said before, is that whole journey of self-discovery. So forgiving the people who maybe had contributed to part of my journey, but at the same time thanking them as well for allowing me to see certain things that maybe I wouldn't have seen, and allowing me to start to grow in certain ways that maybe I wouldn't have grown. So yeah.
Thank you. That's really very powerful, and I like what you shared. And I think something like forgiveness is people take for granted. And before I continue, I just want to ask you, because I think a lot of people find forgiveness as a weakness, and they find it like it's allowing the other person to feel superior, or you're a weaker person when you forgive. So if you can elaborate a little bit, because I think forgiveness is really important in the essence that how does it allow you to heal? A lot of people don't understand the power, how forgiveness can allow you to heal and just find that peace without connecting with her through that pain and letting go. I believe like when you forgive, you are letting go part of that pain, and you're allowing yourself to find space for you. So if you elaborate a little bit, because I've talked to a lot of people, and when you tell them, it is good when you forgive, because you it tends to allow you to grow. A lot of them go about like, I can't forgive. It's like I'm giving him the power, or I'm giving her the power to feel that I'm weaker and I want something.
Well, first of all, let me tell you, it ain't easy. Forgiving people is not easy. And I'm not saying that it's going to happen like from, it's going to go from 0 to 100% straight away. So like it might even be like you're still at 91% and there's still that, 9% that you have to do. So it's definitely a journey. But I think what you have to decide first of all is that, okay, when you're feeling this pain and you're feeling this, some obviously different people, it affects them in different ways. So sometimes when you're feeling that pain, you feel also this sense of like hate because, you feel this hatred towards the person, right? Or you just feel this helplessness, or you feel this like, why me? So whatever, spectrum of that, those feelings that you feel when you feel about whoever it is that's done you wrong, at the end of the day, they are not there, whilst you're feeling this thing, right? So, or maybe sometimes they are, but let's say, for example, you're on your own and you're thinking about this that's in the past, and it's really hurting you. So my question to you is that who is feeling that pain right now, right? The person that has hurt you, that you don't want to forgive, they are doing whatever they're doing wherever they are. So you are the one in this space right now feeling all of these things. So what you need to ask yourself is that, do you want to continue feeling this way, right? And if the answer is no, how can you begin to let go of this feeling that you have? And the thing is that when you forgive someone, to a great extent, they don't even have to know that you forgive them. There are some situations where you might actually call the person and have that discussion with them, and sometimes, but sometimes it can just be something that you do on your own, right? So for example, if you say, okay, this person did this to me, one way of doing the forgiveness is to switch it around and say, okay, what were the things I learned from this, right? So I'm not saying it's right, so I'm not saying it's good, but what were the things that I learned from this, right? And if you learned just one thing, right, so that's a different angle, that's a different way of looking at it, right? And then the thing is, as you start to forgive, like I said, it might not be the whole process straight away. You will begin to see in yourself that, like I said, there's this baggage that you've been carrying that begins to be released, right? And as it begins to be released, I feel that then, like you said, there becomes more space within you to let the love in, or to let other things that are serving you. Because at the end of the day, when it's all filled with this pain and these feelings of holding on to all this anger and stuff, then you're not allowing new things to come in. You're not allowing love to come in. And at the end of the day, love is the foundation of everything, right? So even the self-love, when you want to start loving yourself more, you have to let go of something so that that can, be able to move around your body and everything. So that's why the forgiveness is for you, because it's about you trying to find learnings from whatever's happened. It's about you trying to find ways of moving forward from whatever's happened. It's got, to a great extent, it can have absolutely nothing to do with the other person. They don't even have to know about that. But what you will find is that as you do begin to forgive, the way you will see that person might become different as well. So I'm not saying that they'll become your best friend or anything like that, but there might be this new sense of not understanding. Like I said, it really depends. Like sometimes there's just some things that are just wrong and it just shouldn't have happened, right? But you might just start to see this other understanding and put yourself in their shoes as well, that and say, okay, maybe, maybe. And there's that saying that they always say that, hurt people, right? So maybe they are also going through hurt themselves, or they've been through situations themselves. Again, it doesn't make it right, but it just lets you to see it from a different perspective and not just your perspective. And then that might make things a little bit easier. But ultimately, you are regaining back your power by forgiving the person. So you're not giving them the power, you're regaining back your power by allowing yourself that space to grow, because from forgiveness there is that growth as well, and from forgiveness there is that release as well.
Thank you so much. And that's really powerful. Thank you for sharing that. I think when we understand that forgiveness is not for them, it's for us, it's allowing me to just become me and not hold on to all the garbage or all the things that are strangling me, to have freedom to become who I want. Then it's an easy, I'm not going to say it's easy to forgive, but it gives you a reason to forgive. It's not for them, it's for me. I need to do this for me so that I can move on. Thank you for sharing that. So I know one of the things that people have, and especially if you've gone through a lot of things in life, whatever you've gone through, be it abuse, trauma in any way, the one thing that we have when we want to start is the fear of the unknown. I don't know if I step out, what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm taking myself to the worst situation or I'm helping myself. So how did you conquer that fear? Because I think one of the things that keeps people in situations is either you have fear of moving out or fear of you become getting of uncertainty of not knowing what's going to happen after this. Because when you're used to something, no matter how bad we say it is, it's kind of a security. You feel it's bad, but I'm having a roof over my head, or I'm having one thing or another, the excuses that you give yourself. So how do you break this? How did you break this fear of break the fear and just start doing what you wanted to do?
Oh, I think it begins by creating like a really compelling future for yourself. So like I said, in that moment, I was like, this is not what I want my life to be like. So it was starting to think, okay, what do I want my life to be like? So what do I want for my life and who do I want to be, you know? So I knew that I didn't want to be the person that I was being in that at that time. So I wanted to be somebody with certain qualities and these things like that. So it's about creating that picture of what you want in your life and who do you want to be, and making it so compelling that it excites you, right? And then to a great extent, you look at that picture you've painted and you look at the picture that you're in right now and you're like, yes, I need to get to there, right? And how do I get to there? I can't stay where I am to get to there. I need to move forward. And I'm a firm believer, you know, so I say sow success. And, you know, by sowing success, I mean daily habits, daily things that you do to move yourself forward. So just daily action. So it doesn't have to be a big jump, you know, it can just be a little footstep, you know, it can be a hop, it can be, and as you get comfortable, then it can become a jump, you know, so it's just taking that first step. So it's always about, okay, where are you right now and where do you want to get to? And then taking steps towards that. And that's what I do with the people that I work with as well. So just creating that picture and making your why so big that like every morning it motivates you. And you know, so and to a great extent maybe anchoring that why to people. So for me, my kids are really important to me, and I kind of like wanted them to be able to see me as, you know, an inspiration, as opposed to someone that, you know, who just stayed somewhere that they didn't know that they wasn't happy, or in everything that I do as well, like in my jobs, in my careers, you know, I want them to be able to look at me and see that, you know, things are possible, and you know, things like that. So I kind of anchored my why to them a lot, because they inspire me and I want to inspire them as well. I know I'm their mum, but I do want to inspire them as well. So tying your why to other people that are important to your life, but also just tying your why to yourself and making it bigger than you. So part of my why is that, you know, I have, like what I said before, like I really want to empower people to find that power within themselves to create the life that they want. So when I started my self development journey, I'm one of these people that as I learn things, I want to share it with other people so that they can grow, and all these kind of things. So because I have that deep within me that I want to help other people as well to be able to break free, you know, so even if I wasn't where I wanted to be at the time, I had this vision that I want to get there, and for me to be able to help other people, I need to take steps as well. So it's just by taking small steps and each time just outweighing those benefits of what am I going to get from this. And like I say, once I understand what I need to do, it's not like I'm going to get there straight away. Just for example, I was so scared to be visible when I first started my journey. I didn't like doing live videos and I didn't like doing anything like this at all. So it was like step by step by step. Okay, what was the first step I was going to do? I was going to do like maybe a 30-second video. Maybe then it became a minute, and then it became 5 minutes, and it became 10 minutes, you know. So and it's not like even now I always love being on camera, but it's just something that I've started to do. And once you start conquering one fear, it kind of like gives you that power and that courage to do it again. Because what I try and do is have a bucket of, you know, I've done this before, so if I've done that before, I can do it again, or if I've done that before, I can do this, you know. So it's just giving yourself that first step to give yourself something to put in your bucket. And then the next time you'll put something else in your bucket. And then before you know it, you'll have this bucket full of evidence that, oh my gosh, I've done all these things. And then hopefully, it doesn't mean it will always be easy. At the end of the day, if it's so easy, then what's the fun in that anyway, right? And then again, you're not growing, because at every level there's new things to face. So it doesn't mean that just because you've done all of these things at the next level, it's not going to be you're not going to be scared or whatever. But it's basically using all your past experiences and all your past triumphants to use that as a fuel to help you. So the first step is creating, I feel, that compelling future for yourself. And I'd like to invite your listeners right now that maybe if they are feeling stuck or they're feeling unfulfilled in their life, or there's a situation that they are in that they feel like they can't get out of. First of all, I just want to encourage them that it is possible. It's definitely possible. But first of all, it's making that decision that they are ready for change. They have to make that decision first and own that decision, and then once they own that decision, then they'll be surprised at the different things that, will be coming their way. And then I also want to invite them, for them to like maybe write down who it is that they want to become, and what it is that they want to become, and write that down, and make it so compelling that it will excite them, and it will make them see that this is something that I really want, and it's not where I am right now. Because Tony Robbins says, and I love Tony Robbins, he says something along the lines that, your past does not have to equal your future, so wherever you are right now, wherever you've been, it doesn't have to be your future. But for your future to be different, you have to start making the different choices today. And that can be just simply by getting clear on what it is that you want, who it is that you want to be, and just allowing yourself to, be creative about that. And then the next step is that once you've written that, then start acting like that. It's like sometimes people say to me, oh, you're very calm, you're very confident. When I first started my journey, I wouldn't say that I was any of those things. Perhaps I was, but I didn't see that. And perhaps it was deep inside of me, but I had to reveal that. And to do that, I literally had to write, the qualities that I wanted, and calm and confidence was that. And I'm not saying that I'm confident in every situation. Of course, I'm not. If there's a new situation, I might not be confident in that particular situation. But my point is that these qualities that I wrote, and I read it every day, I looked in the mirror, read it out to myself. And I then obviously started taking action as well, because action is very important. I remember like in the early days, I would write all these things or say all these things and expect it all to just happen. And I'm like, it doesn't work like that. You actually have to then take action. But by creating like what it is that you want, and creating this really clear picture of what it is, then you start to move forward to it. So by looking at these qualities, okay, how can I begin to be more calm? How can I begin to be more confident, and how am I going to take that next step to be that? So once again, it could be that, okay, I want to be more confident. What can I do today to be more confident? So it could just be by just simple as, okay, I'm going to wear a certain top, because that makes me confident. So whatever it is, that's what I'm saying. It just needs to be something small. And then tomorrow you can add on top of that. And then tomorrow you can add on top of that. So it's looking at the qualities that you would like to see in yourself, and then taking opportunities and taking time to start acting like that. But again, it's just making that decision that you are going to do it.
Thank you so much, Lara. That's really, really powerful. And thank you for sharing that. I hope someone is listening, and it's actually helping you to understand that confidence is not something that you just get. Confidence is built. And I really want to agree with you. Now when I'm sitting and I'm talking to you and we're having this interview, sometimes I sit and go like, oh, I can do it. Because this is something that I never thought I could talk to people or interact with people, because I had very little low self-esteem, that I wanted just to talk to the people that I know. I could not even express myself to more than 5 people. But then when you start taking action, and I think that is like you start doing things that small things that you start believing, you take action and you do something and you go, oh, I did it. And what changes, I feel, is you stop looking for that outside affirmation of people telling you, oh, you did it, Lara. Rather, you go like, oh, I did it. This is me. And that's how you start building your confidence. So confidence is not something that we can just find in one time. I think it's something that is built by evidence of things that you do, little things that you do, as Lara said, and you start growing slowly by slowly. So I want to ask you about vulnerability, because a lot of people, and I'm going to talk about women. So I'm going to talk about women, and because we're talking about women being abused, a lot of women feel like if I come and talk to someone about me being abused, according to maybe society and what we expect and what society puts out of us, there, most of the people feel to be vulnerable is shameful. And I feel the most powerful thing that you can have in your life is to be vulnerable, because then you allow yourself to find help. It's like saying, I don't know how to read, but how can somebody help me how to read? It's the same thing when you say, I'm being abused, but in my house, and it's not any, like, it's not a shame to say. So what would you advise women? Because I think a lot of women put this facade when they meet with other women, and you're really going through something in your house, but you don't want to be vulnerable. You don't want people to think less of you, or people to make fun of you.
I would say there is power in being vulnerable. There's power in vulnerability, because first of all, you are being honest with yourself, right? So when you are keeping it all to yourself, you are not, to a great extent, you are not coming to terms with what's happening, right? So you are pretending, but most of all, you're pretending to yourself. So I feel like by being vulnerable in any situation, really, like say, for example, just being vulnerable in that you don't know how to do something, or being vulnerable, I think is you being authentic. And that's the most powerful thing that we can be, our true selves and authentic. Because I think a lot of the issue is that we always think about, what will other people think of us? What will other people think of me? And I'm going to put my two hands up, and I'm not going to pretend like I've never been in that situation. A lot of the time is like, what will other people think about me? But the problem is, or the thing is, that whilst you're spending all your energy thinking, what will other people think about me? They're too busy thinking about themselves. They're too busy thinking about what's going on in their life. You're spending all this energy, what will other people thinking about me? And then staying in a situation that's not serving you, or doing something that, you know, is not serving you, and not allowing yourself to grow or to get the help that you want, or, you know, being honest to yourself. So by being vulnerable is you saying, okay, this is me, you know, take me as I am. And for a great extent, for yourself to take yourself as you are as well. And it just, when you are being vulnerable, well, this is what I found, it's kind of like back to the whole load. It's like this weight is just lifted, or, you know, you just let go. Because when you're being your true self, there's nothing else that you can be. So there's not like, oh, this or oh, that. But when you are trying to like show the world that you're carrying everything by yourself and you're a strong woman, there's nothing, obviously, I'm not saying I'm not a strong woman. I want to be a strong woman for myself and my family and all of that kind of thing. But if you're like pretending that everything is okay, then to a great extent, it's like you are carrying this lie, you know. The truth sets you free, right? Lie, that lie to yourself is actually more crippling, because you're like, what about if I get found out? What about if I get found out that, one, I'm not as what I'm trying to portray, or two, that all this is happening and, you know, it's what I'm trying to portray to the world is not actually true. So all of that puts more weight and pressure on you. So I would say by being authentic and being vulnerable, you allow yourself that space to get what it is that you need, you know, for yourself and for the help that you might need as well. And it's being true to yourself.
That's so true. I think when we are authentic about ourselves, it helps us also to understand ourselves better. Because you get to understand, I'm not only imperfect, there's my imperfection is okay to be imperfect, because this is me, and how can I work myself to get better? A lot of people don't want to show that imperfection in them. They want people to see them, and you hide some things that are really hurting you, and maybe hurting your children and your family. So to be vulnerable is good, because one way of being vulnerable is getting help, and it's part of growth. If you want to grow, you just have to be honest that I don't know how to do this. I need help from Lara. I don't know how to do Zoom. And I think this is when you start asking people to help you with the things that you feel they're going to judge you. It gives you that confidence of knowing, oh, I can ask for help. And when I am myself, then more help comes, and that's how I grow. So thank you for sharing that, Lara.
And I'm glad that you said that about perfection. Two things I want to say: that one, I feel like perfection is just overrated.
Yeah.
And two, it doesn't exist. There's no such thing. Obviously, we are all perfect as we are, in the sense that we are wherever it is that we need to be, and within us there is that that perfection within us. But I just feel like if we are always trying to strive to be perfect, that is not a reality, and then we're always going to fall short anyway, and then that will definitely not help us in feeling fulfilled, because we'll always feel like we've fallen short of it, when at the end of the day it's not a reality anyway. And something that I've definitely learned is that just start where you are, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And as hard as that might be sometimes, but yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect, because when you are trying to get that perfection, to a great extent, it means you're stuck, because you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting for everything to fall into place, and you're waiting for everything to be just right. And the reality of it is that probably won't ever happen. It will never just be right as exactly as what you want it to be. So it might be like there's something that's not quite there yet, then you just do it, and as you go along you might realize that what you wanted wasn't actually what you wanted anyway, because you thought that you wanted XYZ and you're waiting for XYZ, but you start with X and then you realize that actually the next thing you need is not Y, it's actually P, or whatever, something along those lines. But you won't know until you start, and if you start and it's actually what you want, then hey, then you carry on. So yeah.
That's so true. Thank you for sharing. That's really powerful. So you talked about self-love, and I know a lot of people, it's been there, and a lot of people talk about self-love. So what would you tell someone what is really self-love? Because I can say, oh, I love myself, and I care about myself, but I'm caring myself physically outside, the way I see, the way people look at me, but what is really self-love? Is self-love just the way you appear, or is self-love more deeper than what people have talked about self-love so much? And I love asking this question because every person have a different way of explaining it. And every time it's being explained, you go to look yourself differently and go like, oh, I need to go deeper and understand who I am better than the way I am right now.
So for me, I like this quote by Teal Swan that says something along the lines that self-love is the practice that allows you to step fully into your authenticity and restore yourself to wholeness. So I think self-love, like back to what we were saying, first of all, is giving yourself that permission to just be who you are meant to be who you are, right? And also self-love is about obviously then that whole loving yourself first, giving yourself permission to, for example, as the journey goes on, you'll realize to a great extent what your body needs. So even if what your body needs is rest, for example, so self-love is allowing yourself to take that rest. Yeah. If self-love is if what your body needs right now is to eat better, that's self-love, right? So if what your body needs right now is to say, no, I can't do this for you because I would be dishonoring myself, or because, or whatever that is. So self-love is also giving yourself that permission to say no to people, but it's also giving yourself the permission to say yes when you need to. So self-love for me is getting back to your core and understanding who you are, right? So, and by understanding who you are and accepting to a great extent who that person is. And I'm not saying accepting yourself that then you just stay like that, because there's nothing wrong with accepting yourself for who you are, but wanting to be the best version of yourself, right? So, and then in wanting to be the best version of yourself, then that's obviously growing into that person. But who you are right now is okay, because that's the person that is going to grow into, the best version of yourself. So, it's back to this whole, when we plant the seeds, an apple tree, an oak tree, whatever it is, that seed is there, right? And that seed has everything that it needs to grow into the tree that it's meant to be, right? So, but at the same time, that seed needs to be, everything is there, but that seed still needs to be watered. That seed still needs, some seeds might need some fertilizer, some seeds might need extra sun, some seeds might need, so different situations, depending on, one apple tree in this country might need a different set of, things to grow than another apple tree in another country. So my point is, like, wherever you are in that particular time, everything you need is within you. But it might be that for you to then grow into that blossom tree that you're meant to be, then you need certain things. So whether that is facing your fear and taking that next step, whether that is reading a book, whether that is going on a walk, whether that is telling yourself that you are capable, whether that is going back to the basics and telling yourself in the mirror that I love you and I love you for who you are and I approve of you and you are an amazing masterpiece created by God. That's what I tell myself, so self-love is just giving yourself permission to be, just to simply be. And by being, also then start to be aware of where you're at, who you are, and then what you need for yourself, so that you can just be yourself, just be authentic. And yeah.
Thank you so much. That's really powerful. I keep on hearing you saying, you go to the mirror and look at yourself and talk to yourself. I think that's the most difficult thing that a lot of people find hard, to stand in the mirror and just tell yourself how much you appreciate you. I like the high five thing with what's her name? I forgot. The high five. Yeah, I love it so much, because the first time when I tried it, it was like the strangest thing that you can do to yourself, when you just give yourself a high five and say, I woke up and I did it. It felt very strange, but the more you do it, you just find the way you start appreciating who you are. Mm-hmm. And you start acknowledging the little things that you do for yourself and for the change that you want to create in every area of your life. So thank you for sharing that.
I think it also goes back to gratitude as well. And first of all, before I say about gratitude, from what you said, anything that's new is going to seem funny, it's going to feel uncomfortable, anything that is new, so it's about making yourself that commitment that you're going to give yourself a go, because at the end of the day, you're worth it to at least try, at least give yourself a go. So it's going to seem weird at the beginning, but if you keep on doing it, then at some point it will start to be like start to become a little bit natural. And then at one point, then you'll be like, okay, why wasn't I doing this before? And back to gratitude, love, they say, is the highest frequency, and gratitude is very close behind it, right? And so in terms of loving yourself or loving where you're at, so it all comes down to gratitude. So back to this whole mirror thing, so initially it's just finding something that you like about yourself, so that's being grateful, right? So I don't care who you are, there is at least one thing about you that's good, just one thing at least, right? So if you just start from there, that that I like this about you, and then maybe just focus on that, right? And then as that happens, and maybe you might think, actually, that's not so bad, so, and then start to build up on it. And the thing is, once you find one thing to be grateful for, then the universe will try, and you're truly grateful for it, and you feel that from your heart, the universe will start to begin to find other things for you to be grateful for. So it might not be about yourself, it could be about anything, and then as that begins to grow, then you'll find more things that you're grateful for, and then it can just be an amazing effect. So I definitely do my gratitude daily, generally in the morning, if I have time in the evenings as well. So I do lots of different ways of doing gratitude. So sometimes what I love to do is and now I've anchored it. So I read The Magic at one point, and one of the practices was, there's different practices every day in terms of thank you, but one of it was 100 steps, where you take 100 steps and you say thank you. So I remember that particular day, so I was going out to work, and so as I went down the stairs, I was thinking, okay, let me count the stairs and say my thank you. So anyways, now a habit that whenever I go up or down any stairs, so whether it's in my house, whether it's at work, whether it's anywhere, so I'm always saying thank you. So it's kind of like a fun exercise. So I'm a firm believer in try to make things as fun or as playful as it can be. And so that's a playful way of just doing gratitude. And other ways, like for example, as you're walking down the street, just look here, look there, and just see what you can be grateful for. So it doesn't always have to be you're doing a journal or whatever. You can look for different ways of being gratitude. And you can never be too grateful, you can never have too much gratitude. So yeah, so
that's true. And I think gratitude makes you appreciate life.
Yeah,
Because you tend to see the good things rather than just seeing the negative. If you just appreciate, and people, when I remember I was asking someone to just be grateful, and she was like, everything looks so difficult. I said, but you have a lot of things to be grateful for. We're forgetting that we are walking, we are seeing, we can eat, you're healthy. And these are things that if you don't have, life is going to be more difficult. So if you're just seeing the common things, leave alone the things that you want in your life, the daily things that you have that are making you be able to go out and find that job or start your business or take care of children. It's just powerful to just appreciate that, because it opens that door of feeling fulfilled rather than always feeling deprived.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I agree with you.
Thank you for sharing that. So what is the one thing you will say that drives you now more than ever for you to keep on waking up every day and just want to empower a woman to be better?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, like I said, that it's just my passion. Like, I have two things that lights me up. One is coaching and the other thing is singing. And both of them just touch my souls. Like, it's just like the other day when I had a coaching session with my clients and she had a breakthrough in that session. Honestly, it's not something you can pretend. It's just this feeling, so I just love it. And I particularly work, I mean, I do work with men from time to time, but I particularly work with women just because, one of the things, when I said that my journey first started in 2012, I would say in terms of like proper self-development, because it wasn't like I wasn't reading before then, but, it was from a different space. But in 2005, when my daughter was born, it changed everything, right? So when you have children anyway, but also when you have a girl, so like, because I'm a girl, I'm a woman, right? So I just remembered how I felt growing up, like my insecurities and all these things, and obviously, which is why I said it goes back to loving yourself for who you are. So I just want to be able to empower my daughter, empower young girls, empower ladies to know that they are worth it. Know that they are truly worth it, and that everything that they need is within them, and they are okay just as they are, and that whether then they're looking for love in a relationship, then that will be a complement to what they are. That won't be something to complete them. So I'm totally, and I was in that boat, I want love to complete me, I was definitely in that boat. But I learned a long time ago that that is not even something that you should be wishing for somebody else to complete you, because that's where things go wrong. Because if someone's completing you, what happens if they then take away that love? Then immediately you are incomplete, right? So, but by being complete by yourself, and then finding someone that then complements that, and is, then that makes a total difference. So I just feel like with social media as well, for so young girls is something that I'm very passionate about, basically to empower them at a young age to know that they are cool, any shape, any size, any color, they are okay as they are, and to create that whole self-love, that self-worth from a young age. And then also as women as well, that we can be or do anything that we want to be. We just need to give ourselves that permission, and have that courage, find that courage within ourselves. So honestly, it just lights me up, because I feel like wherever we are, we're always going to be growing, but we just need to find that first step. And sometimes, like I said at the beginning, we just need somebody to show that passion or show that belief, or borrow us that belief, you know, because like we might not believe in ourselves straight away. Some of the ladies I work with, they might not believe in themselves straight away, but I'm happy to borrow them the belief until they can find it themselves, you know. So yeah, it's just something that I love. I love to do, to help other people discover their gifts, to help other people to discover that that they are okay as they are, and that they have everything that they need is within them. And yeah, so I love that.
Thank you so much. That's really powerful. And I think when you have something that drives you and you find that something that really, really makes you happy, then you find a way of enjoying your life. And
Mhm.
that's then when we're talking about having a lifestyle is doing things that you love. Because when you do things that drive you, you always find a reason to wake up, a reason to change, a reason to to even struggle achieving that thing. So
Mhm.
thank you so much for sharing that. So what would you advise a girl who's 20 or 25, who's still struggling and confused and looking for her way to find herself, to want to build herself, and there's so many challenges that are happening in her life right now, and as she feels confused and lost, and but she wants to come out there, she wants to grow, and she wants to change her life.
The first thing I would say is love yourself first. So I would say love yourself. So that would be the first thing that I would say, because from that, then everything else would come. Because when you start to love yourself, you kind of start to also develop this belief for yourself. And then the thing is, when you have that belief in yourself, it it changes the game, because it's not like we are all born to be able to do XYZ, right? But if you have that belief in yourself that, you know, even if I can't do this thing right now, I can do it if I try, right? So I can't, but I can soon, you know. So, or I can now if I try. So whenever it is, but my point is that if you have that belief in yourself, so either the belief from past things you've done, or if, for example, you want to become somebody, or you want to become something, so find someone that you're going to basically model. Yeah, so like, what are the qualities that they have, or what are they doing? So whether that's a mentor as well, or that's a coach, you know. So I'm a firm believer in having a coach and having a mentor. I have mentors, I have coaches. So my journey in terms of self-development was a long journey, but I feel like maybe if I had got a coach at the beginning, or a mentor at the beginning, it would have been a lot quicker. So if there's somebody that is doing what you need to do, and you're able to model them, or you're able to be mentored by them or coached by them, so it will definitely be quicker. So if this young lady already knows to a great extent that she wants to be better, she knows she's meant for more, and she just doesn't know where to start, so I would say that's a good thing to start. So to see, because you know, like when we see when we look at others and we kind of like have this desire to be like them, that means that that desire is a seed that's within us. Because at the end of the day, I started my journey as a programmer. Actually, I did biomedical sciences at university, and then I moved into programming. I was a programmer for many years, and I became like a team leader, and then like a support manager. But I have an analytical side to me. So it's not like I didn't enjoy programming, because I did. I have a creative side to me, and I have an analytical side to me. And growing up, that was a balance. I had to try and find out which one did I want more, the creative or the analytical. So anyway, so that's how I started my journey. But then very soon I realized that programming wasn't so much for me, because I preferred talking to people. I preferred being, you know, mixing with people, that kind of thing. And for a long time, I felt like maybe I was in the box. So my point is that when you see somebody doing what they are doing, and you're like, wow, that's amazing, it's because there's a seed within you that wants to do something like that, or wants to be something like that. And so it's those things that you have to look out for. So for example, I knew that I wanted to be a coach because I saw other people doing, and I was like, wow, I would love to be like that. I would love to be the female Tony Robbins, you know, things like that. So when you've seen other people something amazing, that's probably because you want to be like that. So where you can then find a mentor, or you can find a coach, or you can read their books, or whatever those steps are. I would say that's a definitely good first step, but I would still go back to love yourself first, because you have to have that belief in yourself and that love for yourself. And yes, some people can borrow you it, but it would be easier for you to start with that.
Thank you so much. That's really powerful, and thank you for sharing that. So one last question. How can you describe Lara in one sentence?
Oh, okay. That's a tricky one, actually. How do I describe myself? Okay, I would say, back to this whole thing, that my passion is to grow. My passion is to empower others to create the life that they want. That's it. It lights me up. So my passion is to empower you to find that power within yourself to create the life that you want.
Thank you so much, Lara. And you're doing a lot of things that are empowering women. I see on your Facebook, and you're doing a lot of things that are helping women to grow. And I want to thank you and commend you for that. So you were talking a lot about empowering women, and people have been listening. There's some people will listen after. So how can people reach you in case somebody wants to? What do you do? First of all, what do you do so that people can understand better what you do, and how can people reach you if there is someone who wants to contact you, or someone wants to ask you a question in terms of any woman who feels like she's learned something from you and she wants to understand more on what we've been talking about?
Okay, so first of all, you can reach me via Facebook. So Lara Odishagan. If you search for me, you'll find me very easily. You can send me a DM. We can go from there. I'm also at the moment doing an initiative called #100, because this year I want to help and transform the lives of 100 women. And so I'm offering a free one-to-one coaching session to 100 women, totally free of charge. But the only thing that I ask is that they are ready to want to step into their true power and fulfill their potential. And so if this is you and you're listening right now, you can type in #100 in the comments, and I will reach out to you and send you the details for that. So yeah, so if you're ready to step into your true power to create the life that you want or fulfill your potential, I will give you a one-to-one coaching session to do that. So yes.
Thank you so much, Lara, for being here. And I want to thank you, everybody, for being here. And today we learned a lot from you. There's a lot of insights. I learned a lot myself, and I want to thank you for taking your time. And as usual, this podcast is to help you find yourself, find your story, find a way to come out of wherever you are and create something better for yourself. Create your own journey, build your own story, and have a platform to share it, or empower people like Lara, the way she's doing, empower others also to support them to change their lives. So I'm always honored to have people who share and empower people. Thank you so much, Lara, for taking your time, and everybody else who have joined us today. Thank you so much.
Oh Seigneur, tu as pardonné toutes mes fautes, mes erreurs, même en du passé, c'est toi qui as donné.